Hello and welcome to episode 266 of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Dad FF. Today, it's nothing but trades. We're doing mailbag show. You guys have sent in so many different trades. You guys are popping up on YouTube already. You guys like Snoog, Dad, you guys were on last night. We want more. So we jumped on last night. We're jumping on again. We got Gendy's. He's like, what's up, boys? Hunter Stein, let's go. You guys want to make sure Shane Yoho. I love it when you guys start jumping in here, gets everything going. You guys, we want all of your trades tonight. We're going to give you everything we can. We're going to talk about it from all different angles because Snoog, right now we're talking week 6. This is make or break time, man. Week 6 to 8 is where you separate the men from the boys, and now it's time to help these guys smash.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually. In the 20 plus dynasty leagues I'm in, after we finish recording, I'm gonna go through before bed for probably an hour and a half and just send out a bunch of trades, go through my rosters, figure out where I need help. One guy I'm actively buying right now is Stephon Diggs, and I was before the Nico Collins injury, and I am now. I don't care. I will buy high. I'm buying Stephon Diggs. He's a star. He's an alpha. He could have a top 5 to 10 type upside till Nico is back. And when Nico's back, he's a top 15 to 20 wide receiver. So it's a win-win. I'd pay a late first for Diggs in a second. Type of deals like that is what I'm looking to do. But there's a couple guys on teams on 5-1 or 5-0, 4-1, even 3-2. I'm buying Cooper Kupp as well. So there's so many different trades and stuff that we'll jump in here for. But I'm ready to win some championships. I don't know about you, Dad.
Well, the biggest thing right now, and I got to say, like, I have my post ready to go. I was putting it up tonight. 10 wide receivers I'm trying to trade for, whether it's redraft or dynasty. If you're 3-2 or 4-1 right now, you are not doing your due diligence if you're not trying to get Nico Collins, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, those guys that are like going to give you that shot in the arm down the stretch. But I'm with you, man. Diggs was my number 3 buy. My number 1 is CeeDee Lamb. You look at CeeDee Lamb, he's had 32%, 29% target share each of the last 2 seasons. This year, it's only 21%, and that's going to change. That is going to really skyrocket up, and CeeDee Lamb has become a decent value. A.J. Brown, I got DK Metcalf, Diggs, like you said. Marvin Harrison Jr. is starting to really – I'm seeing people trying to drop him down like 3 spots lower than he should be. I saw someone trade Brian Thomas Jr. in a second for Marv yesterday, and I'm like, okay, Brian Thomas Jr. is starting out on fire. But this is Marvin Harrison. I know he's had a little ups and downs, but, we got to go there. And I'm, low-key buying in on Deebo Samuels and Deontay Johnson. There's so many guys right now. Chan Hughes said it perfectly, man. CD's playoff schedule is juicy.
You know who's out is? Garrett Wilson's.
Garrett, well, we just talked about the Jets last night, man.
Week 10 on, it's over for him. He's going to turn up.
Absolutely. A lot of people are trying to tell you they should be selling. I got Joseph Spanier says, Dad, congrats on 30K. Snoog, congrats on 20K. Twitter's been wild lately. You and I both passed those milestones. I got to say, I absolutely love you guys. I love the interaction. Snoog and I jump on here. We're answering questions all day in the Discord, in the Patreon, on Twitter. We just love all the support you guys have been giving us for Smash Accept. Snoog, I mean, this is your first official year now in the books, and you've passed 20K. Talk a little bit about the experience at Smash Accept, because you've literally just become such a household name to a lot of these guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing being able to build a community, because I think what we're building, I say this to a lot of people, we're building an empire in the fantasy football community. We got 400 plus people in there. I wake up, I got 20 plus chats in my chat with Snoog, and I have 20 plus DMs. I check it again at lunchtime. Back to 20. I check it again before bed, back to 20. So there's always people in there interacting. That's been really fun to meet new people, to help people out with we all love. We all love football. We all love the NFL, and we all love this Dynasty fantasy football game that we played and redraft game we played. So it's been cool to kind of hit all angles, build content. We've had a big boost in content on Twitter, especially YouTube. We've been growing slowly but surely. I just have had a blast, especially working with you, Dad, becoming partners. I mean, within a year, we both crushed our milestones. We tripled the Discord members. Yep. So I'm really excited about what we have for the future. And we got big plans ahead. So I'm really excited to keep building.
Love the YouTube. I mean, things have really skyrocketed in there. We look at from month to month. and we've almost doubled how many views we had from last month. You got Z Loading Card says, joined the Patreon last night. Here for it. Here for the live. Love that kind of stuff. We have we got L Train 23. He's in there as well. He said, appreciate the grind, gents. You two are legends. Then you got Super Hot. He said, appreciate the responses. I'm always one of those 20. I love the relationships that you start to build in there. There's guys that are, they heard, Dad, you did this the other day. I heard you were out in Tennessee. Dad, I heard you got a divorce. That's a different kind of situation. But they're like, hey, Dad, we're doing this and that. How are the kids? And it's not just like fantasy football. We're really building relationships. We're doing things in there. Like we're talking about here with our main Shane Yoho. He said, what are you doing with JSN? Snoog, this has been one of the ones where you and I love the talent. We absolutely did. I mean, he was phenomenal in college. Everybody, Garrett, Olave, everybody said this is the best guy from Ohio State. And I still think the talent is there. Just the situation, it's DK's offense. And I am selling JSN for 108 to 111. I'll take. If it's 112, I might sit on him. But if I can get a late first, I'm going to do it. I think I'm primarily using a guy like that. And Snoop, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I have a talent like Jackson Smith-Njigba, I don't like to miss. I don't like to take it for a random. I like to take it, add a second to T. Higgins and add a second to Jackson Smith-Njigba and get T. Higgins and Zach Moss. You know what I mean? Or add a second to him and get yourself up to, a guy that you really believe in, or add a late first and get up to Brian Thomas Jr., make those kind of moves, because I really hate selling them just for a random pick.
Yeah, and if you look at what that new Seattle coaching regime has done, Mike McDonald and Ryan Grubb, they have absolutely unlocked that passing game for the 49ers and brought Geno Smith back from what we saw 2 years ago. I'm excited to see what that kind of does, but I think DK's a massive riser. He actually just made the top 16 in my Dynasty rankings. I remember the days where DK Metcalf was a top 5 to 10 Dynasty wide receiver, and I miss those days because he was one of my favorite players to watch. Dominant player. Dude, but
on the bold takes, I was saying this is the year he goes over 1,000 and touchdowns, 10 touchdowns, because he's always done one or the other. This year it's both, baby.
Yeah, and I think JSN is definitely the rebuild piece. He's a guy that if I'm rebuilding, I love the target because he's a guy that's so young but has such a good pedigree of a profile behind him in an offense that's growing. It's like the day Lockett hangs it up and it's just JSN DK, there's going to be a couple more targets a game going to JSN, it seems like. And right now, he's looking good. He's getting used. It's just not – he needs a lot of volume to have a big week because he's not getting like 17 yards per catch, and he's not scoring every week. So he's kind of like that. He's like that Lad McConkey, like those guys that are volume driven. Amon-Ra St. Brown. To be good in that role, you need volume. And I think JSN's going to be like a high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2 this year, and maybe next year. The breakout will come at some point in time. It just might be way later than we expect. So I'd prefer him on rebuilds, and I'd prefer DK.
Another question here from Josh Duke. He said, I'm currently holding the 1-1 for next year. We just did our rebuild episode. Snoog, that episode is catching fire on YouTube right now. Make sure you guys go check out episode 265, either on YouTube, check it out on Spotify. Someone didn't realize we were on Spotify. They're like, Dad, I can never find your podcast. We're on there. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on everything. But he said, who would you be targeting for that pick? More in need of a wide receiver than a running back. And I think if you're going to trade the 101, Snoog, we talked about it last night. You want to trade it for a wide receiver. And I think it's like, man, if we get to a point where you're not going to get Chase, you could get Marv, you could get Amon-Ra, you could get, A.J. Brown. I think I'd rather have the pick than Puka. I think I'd rather have Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson would be really close. And I think what I would do with that pick, with that 1-1, is I'd try to get Garrett Wilson plus, Brian Thomas Jr. plus, and to sell them on the fact that this is Ashton Junty. This is the number 1 running back maybe that we've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, he is blowing the roof off. If he wants that true 101, he's got to come up and pay for it. And now's the time where, check him out. If he's got Garrett Wilson and he's got a running back like a Rico Dowdle, or maybe somebody a little bit better, like a J.K. Dobbins, somebody who's trying to grind off that team, go out there and make a 2-for-1 and get yourself a piece to put yourself into the playoffs and win it.
Yeah. And if you're in like a 1-year punt type build, I love just taking Ashton Junty and keeping him. Like, that's honestly what I would do if that's the case. If you don't get a top 5 to 6 dynasty wide receiver, or like an AJ Brown plus or a Nico Collins plus or one of those guys, keep Ashton Junty. He has a chance to be the dynasty RB1 the day he plays a snap. So I don't see why not.
Yeah, David Leone asks 4-1 contender with Watson as my QB2. I hate that. I always just Watson is just Snoog. I wanted him to be that this year. I wanted him to bounce back, and it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. Just traded Penix Jr., Tracy in a third for Stafford, Chandler in a second. I think that's good.
I like it.
You know, like
I like it.
It's not sexy, it's not great, but I mean Chandler's got you get the second, which is an improvement, you know, from your third. I would take Chandler in a second over Tracy in a third. You know, I think Penix and Stafford are basically whatever your Cousins looks like he's back. There was an area where we were going to like, man, is Penix going to start? Cousins is back, so Penix might not start. You're a contender. I'm with it, David. I don't know. I mean, I talked to another guy in the Discord today, and you know, we got I think Christian Watson in a second for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is you're not getting a first anymore, right? Like I just feel like you're not going to get a first. I would. Would you rather have
second?
Would you add a second to get to Baker Mayfield? Yeah. You know, like that's really where I'm at now. You know, I think that's that spot. Andrew, I can't pronounce your last name, but I'm going to say Bartico. We're going to skip that. Message me in the Discord what that is. But JJ McCarthy is a good rebuilding buy. Would you buy for JMO? I would smash JJ McCarthy over JMO here. Same. We were talking about this on the rebuild episode. I think it's a great buy. I mean, JJ McCarthy will be the starter in 2025. It's weird to say 2025. As good as Darnold is, he's going to have to light the world on fire. And you and I both believe it's more the situation and the scheme that it is Sam Darnold. You know, Sam Darnold's fine, but he's not great.
Yeah, and we said this earlier on the last show, is as soon as he's asked to do more than he needs to, that's when you're gonna see dumpster fire Darnold. Like, he's got the arm talent.
He'll be seeing ghosts.
He's going to be seeing ghosts before you know it. It's just how it is. I mean, he could change and be a Geno, a Baker Mayfield type quarterback, but I still believe that the Vikings would rather roll with their 22-year-old young quarterback. At least that's their future with him. Maybe it's Darnold for this year and into next year, and then JJ comes alive after he heals from that injury. But the plan is definitely JJ McCarthy. But going back to that Stafford, talking about Stafford, if you're a contender in Dynasty especially, amazing buy in 6-point passing. Amazing. Puka's going to be back and Cooper Kupp before fantasy football playoffs. They'll probably all be back week 10, maybe week 11, week 12, probably before that, but then you're going to get a guy that has a chance to be a top 10 to 12 quarterback play from that stretch on, and you'll have the depth, and he's as cheap as a late second, if that.
I love it. You know, you guys are really blowing up the chat, and I love that. And a lot of you guys we're talking about right now, you guys can come in and you guys can do super chat. So a lot of you are, you know, not in the Discord, but you want your questions answered. You want to make sure have that opportunity to break down your roster, but you don't want to join the Discord. You put in there in the super chat, you put your trade question, we'll answer it for you. We do all those kind of things. This is my man, the Boat Commish. He put Jordan Love or JJ McCarthy and Rashee Rice in rebuilding. I love Jordan Love. I'm like so bullish on Jordan Love. I want to move him inside. You know that he's been my guy since day one. Like, he's a guy that I've moved up, that was investing in heavily last year. This is like McCarthy by the time this season is over, Rashee Rice will be no longer worth a mid, but it'll be a late first. And I think it's Love. If you told me that was Drake May and Rashee Rice, I'm taking it. I think Drake May is going to increase in value. The nice thing about JJ McCarthy, what we've seen from players, is that he's not going to dip in value. Like, we have a spot here where the quarterbacks, once they get injured, they do not dip in value. They just stay in that same area. Bo Commission said, appreciate you boys. You guys are always killing it. Jack Donahue wants to know, as a contender, would you send a late first, Devonta and Rashee for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kupp? This one's tough because I think Rashee Rice in a first is pretty close to Marv right now, but Devonta's, I think I would need a second in there, Kupp. And Devonta clears Kupp there. So I'm not
touching that. If you I'd take Smith's side.
I would really try to give Rashee Rice in a first for Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe add a second. But I think you're really going to bleed there where you give up Devonta Smith and get back Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, it is not a secure thing that he's going to be back to true form. We just got offered Tyreek Hill and Mixon for Connor, Diggs, and Goddard on the fence. Snook, I'm buying Joe Mixon and I'm buying Tyreek Hill if I am a contender because everyone's panicking. Tua's going to come back in week 8. I think Mixon's back I don't think Mixon's back this week, but I think Mixon's back week 7. And you get two absolute dogs there where the only way I'm taking this trade, Snoog, is if I really got to win. Like if I'm – because you're not going to have Tyreek this week. You're not going to probably have Mixon this week. So you got Connor and Diggs, an RB1, a wide receiver 1, and then you got Goddard. If you're on that fence, right, it's like sometimes you're playing redraft and you're 1-4 and you lose this week, you're done. So you got to make a move like that. But in Dynasty – I think I got to stick with Tyreek and Mixon, even though we're playing with all old heads here. This is all borrowed money. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, got one Tyreek, here. Mixon, great buys. Those are 2 guys, and with Diggs, if you're a contender in Dynasty, go get him. Tyreek Hill is going to be a superstar as soon as Tua's back, and Joe Mixon, once he's healthy, is going to be a touchdown machine in this Houston Texans offense. They've been missing him big time. I mean, they got I don't even know how to say his last name, but Dari Ogun. That's what I call him.
Ogunbowale.
Yeah, as a Texans fan, it's been absolutely brutal watching them try to run the damn ball. We need Joe Mixon back and Stephon Diggs. Big breakout coming. So.
Dude, Chan Hughes says, I was in your all DMs all day about Brian Thomas Jr. Very polarizing prospect when it comes to, I've seen some people value him already as high as 102. I have him at the 104 right now, and I think that was bullish as I have some value equivalents that I put out there, Snoop. Before I answer this question, I kind of wanted to get your opinion here is I did Neighbors is 101 plus, Marv is 102 or 101, Nico 102, Puka 103, and then I got Thomas at 104. Because I told people, right now, the 25 class is loaded, but if you can buy wide receivers that have longevity, you're ahead of the curve. Drake London at the 105, Metcalf at the 106, Moore at 107, Worthy 8, Debo 9, Higgins 10, Ladd 11, and Addison 112. Like once I get to those later ones, I might not be all in on Worthy, Ladd and Addison. I might be trying to go for Evans and guys like that. But sometimes people are just so worried about that rookie class that we've been talking about. But let's be honest. You talk about 104, and that could be Burden. That could be somebody that is better than Thomas Jr., but it's probably not. It's going to have to be something special from what we've seen already. Now, his question says, I'm on a contender. He finishes with Tennessee twice. If you guys have not looked, Tennessee Titans, since they got Snead, are phenomenal. This year, they give up 15.7 fantasy points per game, not to the wide receiver 1, to the entire wide receiver unit. So the teams they're playing across the 3 wide receivers, they're giving up 15 points total. So he's an absolute dog. We know he is. And one of those is in the playoffs. Would you trade Brian Thomas Jr. and Tyreek for CeeDee Lamb? And the answer for me is yes. CeeDee Lamb is a foundational asset. I see some people, they're like, would you trade Brian Thomas Jr. for, Michael Pittman in a second? No, that's not what we're doing. But if you're tearing up to CeeDee Lamb here, I think there's still risk about Tyreek Hill. The Miami situation, Snoog, everybody keeps saying, we want to keep buying all in and let's go after A-Chain. And someone in the Discord today said A-Chain in a second or Bijan. I said Bijan without a doubt. Tua is going to give you, right? As soon as Tua comes back, Miami players all get a bump in value, and that's the time to sell, right? So if you buy Tyreek now and Tua comes back and he has a big game, he puts up 150 and a touchdown, you sell both. Like Tua's a ticking time bomb at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's a weird one. So I'm definitely in on that one.
So much Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill and AJ Brown have been killing my seasons. Even my teams are doing so well. I have so many first place and second place teams, but they could be that much better if I had AJB and Tyreek Hill. Because I have a couple 10-0 teams with the league median, and I have a couple undefeated teams like 4-0 or with 5-0, whatever it is, with AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill that just haven't been existent. But I've been lucky with like Jordan Mason hits and like Stephon Diggs and those type of guys to step up. But I'm excited to see those, especially AJB, because
AJ Brown's the one.
He's a guy that can drop 40 any given week, and he could single-handedly win you a week. And I love having players like that on my team.
Sports Pulse says 12-team Superflex start 10. PPR. He wasn't projected to be a contender, but I'm 4-1. Now, Snoop, we talked about a lot of those teams, right? Because you got Baker Mayfield, you got Sam Darnold, you got Jordan Mason. All of a sudden, you're kind of almost on that pretender, but you're in that contender realm. But he says he's got 225 firsts and Wicks on his roster already. Would you smash Jaden Reed for a late 25 first? Absolutely. Jaden Reed right now for me is worth a 105. You know, so if you can get Jaden Reed for a late 25 first, I would trade the late 25 first and Wicks for Reed. And I know you love Wicks. Is that too bullish for you?
I love Wicks. He's still a project player though. I think like I've been seeing a lot of comps to like how he was like how Devontae Adams was early in his career. Like looked really good, but it just wasn't all there yet. And that's exactly what Wicks is. I mean, the dude is like, if you look at all the PFF and all those just elite analytical sites and tools for fantasy out there and for film, Wicks is like absolutely elite as a route runner, getting open. Everything's clicking. He just can't catch the damn ball right now. So I think he reminds me of Demaryius Thomas. Not that he's going to be a Hall of Fame type of wide receiver. He's not going to be, I guarantee it. But I think once he gets that all figured out, he's in such a good situation with LaFleur and Love. It's going to be the Wicks Reed show, but Reed's always going to be that guy to me that has his own role where he's getting fantasy points. Like that's what he is. Wicks is going to be that outside guy. He's going to eventually be the 1-2 with Reed. But I think Reed's definitely the guy there right now, especially, and he's the guy there to be the fantasy point machine.
And I think this is that we talk about insulated trades. I mean, Wicks in a first for Reed. If you're rebuilding, do it. If not, you know, you go after Reed there in that situation. And Snook, Wicks is himself an insulated trade. You know, I traded John where I got Drake London and Wicks for Tyreek Hill in the beginning of the season. And he was that freebie, right? And he's increased in value. And I think you can still get him added into there. Scarface, my man, Codester, he's in here. He wants to know what's going on. That's the OG right there. But he goes, Joe Burrow or Jordan Love. Now, right now, I'm going to move Jordan Love up to my QB9. He'll be my QB9. And Joe Burrow is my QB7. So I still have Burrow above Love, but the gap is closing. We were talking about it last year where you were getting a first on top of there. I mean, right now, dude, I have it at, you're gonna hate me. You're gonna hate me. I have Josh Allen 1 still, but I have Jaden Daniels 2.
Oh, Dad.
I have Mahomes 3, Hurts 4, and Lamar and Stroud. That's just Josh is still in a tier by himself, but Jaden Daniels belongs in the tier with Mahomes, Hurts, Jackson, and Stroud. We've been talking about if you score the same amount of points and you're that much younger, I know the risk is there, but man, you got to be in that area. But I think that next tier is real fun with Kyler, Burrow. I now have Jordan Love in that area and Caleb Williams. And I think that's really where money is going to be made, is tearing off of Mahomes, Hurts, maybe not Stroud, but Mahomes, Hurts, and even Daniels to get yourself to Caleb, Love, Burrow, and Murray. And that's really where I'm at. I think that's the next thing that's really going to be something that you and I push to try to make ourselves, you know, be a lot more resilient for fantasy. Next one, Nolan Dussel. I love this, Snook. This is our bread and butter, right? This is just fun, chopping it up, answering questions. You guys are jumping in here. Nolan Dussel says likely or Bigsby. He's an ETN owner in a 12-team, 1-quarterback standard. What do you think? I'm going to let you go on this one first because a lot of people have different frame of thought. Some people like to have the handcuff of somebody else's player. Some people like to have that handcuff of their team. I want to hear what you have to say between likely and Bigsby.
I'm taking Bigsby because if he has another big week this week and looks like the guy, you can flip him for probably like a 27 first, just straight 100%. Up and get him off your team. And that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah. And the question that I was kind of alluding to there a little bit, if I'm a contender and I have 6 running backs, I don't really care to trade to make sure Bigsby's there with ETN. If I am a team, and Bigsby's a little bit more of a, I think he's ready to flex no matter what. But a guy like Chandler, I'm not worried about subbing him in there if I have a bunch of guys. If I have, 1 or 2 running backs on my team, then I definitely want those studs. I'm going to make sure Algier is backing up, Bijan. And I'm going to make sure Allen is backing up Breece Hall, because if I don't have those, if I lose one, I'm toast. For me, this is Bigsby pretty clearly, so I'm all in on that. Super Hot, that's your boy. He says, yo, any interest in Hawk? We do that Hawk Tua in here all the time, man.
Yes.
We need, you and I are buying Hawk everywhere.
Hawk
if
Tua.
you don't have Kittle, Bowers, or Kelsey, you get Hawkinson. I know I had to throw that in there. No, but like you're absolutely getting Hawkinson everywhere. You got it. You got to get him everywhere you can. Honestly, I mean, I bought him in the preseason. I traded all my Andrew shares except one for Hawkinson in a second, and those are Hawkinson's already worth more, and he's not even playing.
Yeah. Jordan Addison, I've always said this with him, touchdown or bust type player. He's a great player. He's a great NFL player to have. Great number 2 wideout. He's never going to get volume behind Justin Jefferson, especially if Sam Darnold's the quarterback. He'll be a touchdown or bust guy, but he'll have big weeks. But Hawkinson is such an easy target for Sam Darnold. He's going to just get a ton of targets underneath while all the focus is on Justin Jefferson. This one's easy. Hawkinson, I actually just bumped up. I think I have Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta.
And that's a tier, right? And that's what I have too.
I actually think I have Kittle 4 because he is just a monster. And then I think I have 5 as Hawk and 6 as Kincaid in Dynasty right now.
Yeah,
but I think
I'm ready to do
Hawk over Kittle. But I don't know because Hawk has had so many bad season-ending injuries that it's just like.
And when he's there, he's top 5. He's top 5 every single year. Last year, he was number 1. So I'm with you. Next one, Kyle Wynn. What's the current, how many firsts, etc. value of Bijan and Breece in Dynasty? Would you overpay KTC or stay on value? So here's the deal, right?
Don't pay attention to KTC. Only use it as a guideline. Never use that to make a trade.
Right now,
and we have it in us. Get you in the Discord.
We have it in our Discord. I still have Bijan and Breece worth 2 to 2.5 firsts. And I still believe in both the talents. I think I would pay a mid first and a late first. I'm not going to pay an early first. I think both of them are the equivalent to the 101, 102 right now, which means, I would pay a mid and a late. What I really try to do is I try to get upgrade off of running backs that I'm not all in on. We were doing that for Rashad White when it first started. Now we're doing it for, we're looking at those running back rankings and we're trying to take Jacobs or ETN or Brian Robinson, somebody like that, and trying to tier up. Christian McCaffrey, I'm paying a first on top of him. I would pay a second on top of James Cook, or, late first on top of Kenneth Walker. Like, that's where you're trying to go. I would overpay for both of these guys because the schedule that both of them have, this is going to be a great week, Snoop, because you look at Breece Hall plays Carolina, who allows the most, I believe it's Carolina, right? No, it's the other way. Bijan plays Carolina. And Breece plays Buffalo. They're 1 and 2 in fantasy points given up. Like, this is the week. They are gonna ball out. They're the 2 most talented running backs in the league, in my opinion, outside of Gibbs, and Christian McCaffrey. So I think you're definitely there. The other question is, Captain Mo 219, should I trade Breece, Kyron, or Bijan, or package for all or Bijan package for all 3 is Kupp and Brian Thomas Jr. So would you trade any of them for Kupp and Brian Thomas Jr.? Kyron in a heartbeat, right? Let's get that out of the way. I want Brian Thomas Jr. in Dynasty over Kyron Williams, period. Just even up. Is Kupp enough to move off of Breece or Bijan for you?
I think he's saying, should he trade for Breece or Bijan by giving up Kupp or BTJ?
That's what I'm saying. Would you? What would you do? I think I'm
taking Breece and Bijan in both. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would not for Kyron. You know what I mean? I think that's where I'm at.
No.
That makes much more sense.
We're seeing Gibbs explode right now. Breece and Bijan, like, their time's gonna come. They're so young. They're the guys there at running back. Running back can be a little tricky, but when you have like that type of talent and that type of pedigree, and you have like Bijan was taken 10th or 8th overall, like something crazy like that. Breece Hall has got good draft capital too. Breece has shown he's one of the best backs in the league already. When you get backs like that, there's security. I make the move for them. But when you get guys like Kyron or guys like James Cook and like Rashad White's. Like I always fade those type of running. I'll never own any of those type of running backs in Dynasty. I'll get them as soon as
Mm-hmm.
they hit their value. What do we do, Dad?
We flip
Right
them,
out the door.
right? The next one
Go
I
get
like,
Joe
it's
Mixon plus or Alvin Kamara.
I have Daniels and T Law in a rebuild with no QB3. Who do you make a move for or use one of your 325 first? No. Here's the deal, right? You're in a rebuild, Shane. When you're losing, you're winning. You trade Trevor Lawrence right now.
Yep.
And you either try to tear up off of Trevor Lawrence or you try to trade for T Law for another first plus, because that's only going to make your first better. You do not want a QB3. You don't need a QB3. There's no real reason for that. Trade, if you're going to do it and you're moving into it next year, trade T Law in a first for Jordan Love. If you're only starting this thing out, strip down Trevor Lawrence. Snoog, I was actually talking to a guy, and the community is all has Daniels over Mahomes. And I know Daniels is 21 and Mahomes is 29. Here's the deal. If you're contending, I would trade Mahomes for Daniels. But if you're rebuilding, and this sounds completely opposite, but who's more safe in Dynasty? It's Patrick Mahomes. Like Daniels
not even close.
could, is he the next Lamar Jackson? Maybe. Is he the next RG3? Maybe. But I think, talent-wise, projects more towards Lamar Jackson. And I think he's really done a great job, Snoog, of not taking those big hits that we saw in college, because he got lit up. I mean, he was getting killed. And right now he's not. You know what I mean? So, I think there's a lot that could be said there with what you could do with Daniels trying to make some trades. So I like that. Here we got a one quarterback league, and you and I don't talk a lot about these, but he's talking about rebuilding. And Snoog, our rebuild show last night was on fire. This group chat is carrying over. One quarterback, 12 teams, start 8 from Matt Glure. He says he's rebuilding. Trade Andre Iosovas for Jordan Whittington. Nasty boys. Okay. All right. I prefer Whittington. I think Whittington over the last 2 weeks has had a 26% target share. He's someone that we both liked in training camp. I think he's the wide receiver 3 on a team that is the wide receiver 1 and 2 are always hurt.
Mm-hmm.
AI has performed, but I mean, you got T there, you got Chase there, and if T leaves, there's no way he's going to slide into that wide receiver 2 role.
Yeah. I think. I mean, it's so wishy-washy, but I just probably roll with Jordan Whittington there. He's been looking good. He's a guy that if there's an injury, he's next man up. So why not?
Then the 2 part of that one, and Matt says rebuilding, trade Khalil Shakir and Kareem Hunt for Keon Coleman. I love that.
I don't like Keon Coleman, but that's a good upside play in a rebuild to take a shot on. I would actually, what I would do, Matt, is I would try Shakir and Kareem Hunt and try somewhere else. Keep that one on the back burner and try to maybe get someone different. Try to go get Tank Dell and see if you could add a second to that package and get Tank Dell right now. Because, I mean, it sucks that Nico Collins just got injured for 4 games guaranteed. Now Tank's values goes up a bit, but that's not someone that people are getting sick of that has been very, very underperforming. That is a great buy low. And I've seen crazy trades on Twitter and people in the Discord asking, like, Tank Dell or this, Tank Dell or that. And it's like easily Tank Dell by a mile. So take Shakir, take Kareem Hunt, go to the Tank Dell owner, literally offer him that, see what he says. If you need to add a second, do it, get it done. Let's go.
I love that. He says, you guys are the best. Post some live Q&As. Matt, thank you. We appreciate that. Again, guys, we have super chats. When you guys do those things, it's just a way of saying, you know what? We'll make sure we answer your question. We appreciate the time. You guys are fantastic. David Leone, another one. He said, 4-1 contender. My wide receivers are Chase, London, and Evans. Running backs, Bijan and Connor. Are we attempting to trade BTJ plus for Saquon or Gibbs? I love BTJ, but if you can give BTJ and Connor for Saquon or Gibbs, you smash it. I mean, I think it sounds like as a 4-1 contender, and we know the schedule that Brian Thomas Jr. has, if you're able to do that and get a guy, you don't do it for a Kamara, you don't do it for a Henry, but if you can get a Saquon or a Gibbs that are going to give you some longevity, I'm with it. And
Snoog, I know has so much value right now. I think you could just literally get Saquon straight up at this point, or add like a late second. Gibbs, man, I think this. I'm going to the Pats Texans game this Sunday with all my friends, my dad, my
Dude,
brother.
that's
So I'm
awesome.
excited for that. I get to see CJ Stroud in person. I'm also going to the Texans Jets game at MetLife on Halloween for Thursday Night Football to see CJ Stroud again. I'm going with my buddy, so I'm seeing Stroud play twice this year in the Texans. So I'm hyped for that. But I'm pissed. I'm probably gonna miss. Maybe not because it's a 4:25 game. But the Dallas Detroit game is gonna
Ooh,
be an absolute
yo,
shootout.
they're
And Dan Campbell said Jameer Gibbs is about to take off, and Dallas has
yeah.
like one of the worst run defenses. They're missing their whole D line. They're missing everything. So I think Gibbs and Demont are gonna absolutely pound them. And it's supposed to be a shootout, high projected point total game. They might be going back and forth, so we're probably gonna see a bit more Gibbs than Demont. I think this is the week we get the 30+ point week from Jameer Gibbs finally because he's never done it. He's always gotten a 25, 20, 28. He had a big stretch last year of 20-point games, never 30. This is the week that we're going to get it.
This is awesome. I have 8 smash quarterbacks this week. 6 of them are playing against each other. You know, we have honestly the Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson is going to be
That's going to be
sexy as
sick.
hell.
I'm hyped for
That's
that game.
such a fun game. You talk about the Dallas Detroit game. You got Arizona Green Bay. It's like we have an awesome slate this week. I'm excited. Ambiguity says Superflex 0.5. I'm a rebuilding team trying to decide if this is fair. Devonta Smith, Trey Benson, James Conner for A Chain, late first, late second. I think it's a mixed bag, Snoog, because I do want Devon. If I'm rebuilding, I prefer Devonta Smith over A Chain straight up. The late first, I do prefer over Benson and Connor combined, though. So like that's the interesting part. I think if I could just give Benson and Connor for the 25 first and second, I would do it. I just have a real hard time. Devonta Smith, 25. He's still just going to be 26 unless this is a deep rebuild. If it is a deep rebuild, make the trade, flip A Chain once Tua comes back and get a first plus Jalen Wright or a first plus another running back and then flip them again. I think we just keep working it that way. Just keep flipping.
Yeah, I love that.
I love this. Ambiguity says, yo, your Twitter posts just be clutch. I love that. Andrew's back on here. Are you buying high on Bowers? Snoog, I can't find my bell, but if I had it, pretty much any trade when you're talking about Brock Bowers, just start ringing that bell.
This one, I got this one in the Discord. I friggin' love this deal. In a rebuild, he's retooling. He's giving up CD and Mandrews for Bowers and 2 firsts. I love that.
I got to have more cowbell, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you get those kind of moves in that extra, especially in a 0.5, right? In a normal tight end premium, that 0.5 isn't big. In a 0.5, that 0.5 tight end premium is the equivalent of what we play in a 2.0 tight end premium, if you really look at it. So Andrews is a wash. You're basically getting Bowers and 2 firsts. I love CeeDee Lamb, but this format, that's awesome. Next one, Nicholas Zen, 1-4 rebuilder. Snoog, it's a theme, man. They love the rebuilds. 2 quarterbacks, super flex 10 team. He already has 3 firsts. That's he's coming after my heart on that one. Got offered Nico in a mid first, or Nico for mid first and Jaden. It's mid first and Jaden Reed. I think if you're rebuilding, I think that's the way. I think Collins is the perfect rebuilding asset right now, though, too. Because he's not going to score you any points. I was making offers today. I offered Garrett Wilson straight up for Nico in multiple leagues. I offered Drake London in a second for Nico in multiple leagues because if you're rebuilding, Nico's the guy to go after. But if I can get a mid first and Jaden Reed, Snoog, I'm going to do it. And if I'm rebuilding and I'm in a deep rebuild, then I'm going to trade Jaden Reed in a second for JSN in a first, getting 2 firsts, JSN for Nico Collins, and it's like that's the difference. If you're buying JSN, it's on something like this. If you're buying, I'm with this. Any quarrels with that?
I love this. Love this deal. This is a good deal.
Next one, Steven, JSN, Kraft, Pierce, 25 first, 27 first. Ooh, this is a lot. Okay, so we let Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Kraft. Tucker Kraft has just been a huge asset. He's just been phenomenal in Dynasty. I mean, how close is he to Kincaid? Like after a couple of weeks, would you trade Kincaid for Kraft in a second?
Nah, I'd keep Kincaid.
It's close though. It's getting close.
It's not a talent issue for Kincaid. It's just that offense being so weird and Joe Brady overthinking everything possible. Get your best players to football. It's not that hard.
Alex Pierce. Alex Pierce is a throw in this one. 25 first, 27 first for BTJ, Deontay Johnson, and Kelsey. So here's what I'm looking at. So let's just call it, Deontay Johnson and Kelsey is pretty much close to JSN and Kraft. It's not really that big a deal. So I would rather have it. Yeah, it's just depending on which way you go. I think that's pretty fair. But then you look at it, would you rather have Pierce in a 25 first or 27 first or Brian Thomas Jr.? I think the difference is it mid? We need a little context. If it's a mid 25 first and, the 27's 2 years out, but Snook, if it's 105, I'm going to smash that. If it's 112, I'm going to absolutely pass.
Yeah, I'm exactly same on board with what you said.
Yeah, I love that one, Steven.
I think
here's one for you. Go ahead, buddy.
You're banking on JSN to be worth at least Deontay and Kelsey. Because I think BTJ at this point is worth close to 2 firsts.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you're giving up 2 firsts, and then I'm looking at it like JSN and Tucker Kraft for Kelsey and Deontay, and I'd need a second on that side to do it. I'd need a second on the JSN side to do it, I think.
For sure. Next one, got to go over this one. Gendy's wants to know Superflex 10 team. Yeah, dude, that's sweet, man. A little the Clone Wars type helmet there. I love a little bit of Star Wars. Dynasty, do you want London, 10 team, Dynasty, London, or Rice and Dell? I have a pretty strong opinion on this one, but I want to hear you first. Drake London or Rice and Dell. Now, it is a 10-teamer, which to me really makes a difference when you're talking CeeDee Lamb and those kind of guys. But London and Rice are not that same elite level where I'm like, you've got to get your boss.
Yeah, I'm going to go with London here.
I'm going to take Rashee Rice and Tank Dell. I think Rashee Rice value is just Tank Dell. It's going to.
If I'm rebuilding, I think the Rice and Dell side is great value, great option. But just the fact that we might miss Rashee for 2 years is just like, do I want to get
it's set. And I think Tank Dell's going to bounce.
London's been rising so much coming off a 30-plus point game. It's just like, like how do we get rid of him now?
And that's in a 10-team. I'm with you. If he's contending, and I hope you are, we'll go with London. If you aren't, it's Rice and Dell. You know what I mean? Because I think, but Dell is not the same guy. I mean, with his injury, getting shot, you could tell. I was listening to Reception Perception. He's even talking about this is not the same guy on tape. You know what I mean? He will bounce back. Rice will bounce back. So I think that's pretty firm where we're at on that one. Is if you're contending, take London. If you're not, we'll go that route. Next one, D. McGinnis, Roman Wilson, who's just disappeared off the face of the earth. Tolbert, who's been really, really nice surprise. And a 25-second, or Brian Robinson, Jeremy Nichols, and Chris Rodriguez. So the entire Commanders running back crew minus Austin Eckler. I mean, you don't want Chris Rodriguez on your team. You know, that's just, there's no point. McNichols has been solid. McNichols has 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games, man. Like, I think
that is true.
But what are you doing here with this one?
I'm taking B-Rob side all day. I take B-Rob over that package straight up. Roman Wilson's like barely anything.
Yeah, it's sad with him.
Riser. And even if Roman Wilson was healthy, though, it's like George Pickens is barely even playing. Like, that Steelers offense is a disaster. Only player I want to own is George Pickens.
Love it. Let's keep moving down here. And we're going to be doing 2 shows tonight, so we're going to try to get you guys going as much as possible. Yo Reach says 2 trades I did. Puka and a 26-second for BTJ, Tank, Dell, Algier. Oh, hold on. Wait. I did Puka and a 26-second for Brian Thomas Jr. and Tank. Let's do that one first. So this one, have we gotten to a point where, I mean, the 26-second and Tank I'm going to wash. So I feel like Puka still has a little bit more value than Brian Thomas Jr., but I think at some point they might flip-flop. But I can't until Brian Thomas Jr. breaks the rookie record like Puka did, I still got to lean Puka just a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
I'm gonna go.
How about
I don't know
Puka?
actually. I'm gonna wait.
If this was Puka for Thomas Bigsby in a second, then it's there, right?
I thought it was Thomas Bigsby and Dell for Puka in
No.
the second.
No.
Okay, so Puka in the second, I'm taking.
Yeah.
And then I'm taking Ayuk over Dell and Algier.
Yeah, and then the second one he traded Dell and Algier for Ayuk,
So
and I think that one's an absolute win. So
you absolutely.
I don't think he lost the first one because I think Tank Bigsby could be a league winner if ETN were to go down. Brian Thomas Jr. is a dog, and he's really like moving up boards. So I get it. The second one you definitely won. I think that's a no-brainer here for sure. Next one, 2-3 record from his team, 10-1-7. His QBs are Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. Running backs are Gibbs, Brees, and ETN. Receivers are Garrett, Addison, Olave, Fergie at tight end. He has 225 firsts in his pocket. Should he be panicking at 2 and 3? You got two foundational quarterbacks. You have two elite running backs in ETN. Garrett Wilson and Olave are borderline. Garrett's foundational. Olave's right there. I think Addison, and depending on who those other wide receivers are in that room, I think this team is the way this looks. I would not use those firsts. A lot of these guys are going to be coming out of their shell. And I think, Josh Allen, if you need to hold on to those firsts, tear off of Josh Allen or Kyler since you have two elite quarterbacks and kind of go for it. I mean, I think this team is pretty solid. What do you think, Snoop? Maybe even take some of the seconds if you have them and buy yourself those Mixon, Kamara types and kind of roll with it. You're muted, buddy. Sometimes if I mention Alvin Kamara, if I mention Kamara anywhere, yeah, you just drop it. Go ahead.
I mean, you have two cornerstone elite young running backs. You got two cornerstone top 5 to 6 quarterbacks. That team is absolutely loaded. No need to worry. 2 and 3, Garrett Wilson. Like we said, that schedule towards the end of the season. When you have teams like this, you just got to get there. Once you're there and you have all these superstars, you're going to make magic happen. I've had teams do this in the past. I've won as 7 seeds. I've won as 6 seeds. I've won as all these different late round, especially last year is very weird, especially if you have a lot of Amari Cooper like I did. You got lucky with that 50 bomb. So your superstars will show up when you need them, unless it's Stephon Diggs or Devontae Adams for the past 2 years.
Love it. Next one, and I think this is going to be our last Dynasty trade question. And we're going to keep going with the live feed, but we're going to switch over. We're going to talk a little bit more about what we have, on slate for the guys that we're buying. We're going to get it going. Steven says, he said, Dad and Stug are them. I love that. But Jonah Farrer says, what is fair value for Kyler on a Superflex league? I have Allen, Caleb, Richardson, and Kyler. I got to shift off of one of these guys or some of these guys. Snook, what are you doing with that quarterback room?
Keeping Allen, as always. Keeping Kyler, selling the rest. Holding Caleb until he blows up, then selling Caleb.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're just holding all 4 because AR has been shit. Well, you're waiting for that blow up from him. Caleb's starting to really step it up. I think AR is a guy that next 25, 30-point game he drops, which will happen because he is just a freak like that. You sell him high. You sell him for Matt Stafford and 2 first plus. You sell him for Geno Smith and 2 first plus. A trade like that, if he has a big blow up, you'll be able to get because people will be right back in on him. The market is so overreactionary if you can't tell. Jaden Daniels is the 101 in Superflex Dynasty startups after 4 weeks. That's all you need to see. Play your trades, play your team with the market, and you'll do just fine.
We never once said it was going to be CJ Stroud, and then all of a sudden it was like, the season that he had, and then Jaden let's just, you know what? He's played 4 weeks.
Best rookie quarterback season
let's
ever.
Just do it.
Led the league in passing yards per game, and oh no. But Jaden Daniels, after 4 weeks playing 2 bottom 3 defenses, and then I honestly think Jaden Daniels comes back to earth against the Ravens, has a really bad game, turns the ball over, and people are like, eh.
Yeah.
I can see it. That's a good defense, and I think that they're going to expose them a little bit.
This has been a fun trade mailbag show. We're going to try to do this a little bit more often because you guys really came out in droves. Thank you for the support. If you guys want to join the Discord, make sure you guys do it. Check us out on YouTube. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and enjoy the process. That was fire. We're not going to restart it. We're just going to kind of go into the next one. Let's give ourselves a 20-second gap and really just go from there. Hello and welcome to episode 267 of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at DynastyDadFF. Joining me, as always, is my main man at FF Snoog. Snoog, tonight what we're going to talk about is we're going to just talk about some matchups to exploit, some guys that we're buying, because this is the time of the year we're talking about separating the men from the boys, right? Like week 6 through 8. This is the time where you're 4-2, you're 5-1. You're playing things a lot differently than you're 1-4. And 2-3 or even 0-5. You're 1-4. You're playing this thing like every week is the playoffs. You're trying to pick out those matchups. You're 5-1 or 5-0, 4-1. You're buying Nico Collins right now. A lot of things to really unpack. Snoog, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing good. I'm excited for this one because I got some guys that I'm buying like crazy in my leagues, and I got some guys that I'm selling. So I'm excited to kind of talk about this and help pivot because it's week 6. There's teams giving up already. There's rebuilders sitting there with Austin Ecklers and guys like that sitting on their bench that you can go get for 4ths or 3rds that are going to give you a ton of value down the stretch and have league winning upside potentially if there's an injury or something like that. So I have some running backs, some cheapies that we're going to talk about that I've been doing a ton of research into. Guys like Rico Dowdo. I love buying Austin Eckler right now. He's been a 10+ points per game guy with very limited touches. I think his touch roll, like we saw before, the concussion is going to keep increasing. He was used like crazy in that game, outscoring B-Rob, and then he got the concussion, came back, eased him in, still got 10+ points, looked great, had a couple big breakaway runs and stuff. So this is the type of stuff that helps win your leagues, and we're going to talk about the guys that you need to be buying, especially guys like Kupp, Tyreek Hill, that were injured or had injuries affecting their performances that are going to come back to play.
All right, so the first guy that I'm buying, and you guys already know it, it's Breece Hall. Okay,
yes,
this is my guy in my work league. This is John Mark. We made this trade. I gave him Aaron Jones and George Pickens for Breece Hall today. I went in because he's on the lower end. I'm up towards the top, and I was like, I got to get Breece Hall. He drafted him based off the research that I was saying there. Snoog, I'm finding this scenario for Breece Hall, and you could talk real quick on the trade there. But, I mean, we're looking at Breece Hall with the schedule that he has down the stretch. I think this is the week. We see him go against Buffalo. Right now, Buffalo is giving up an absolute crazy 32 fantasy points per game, the most in the NFL, 2 running backs. And I see a lot of people, I posted about Breece Hall, and they were giving me trash. They were saying, you know what? You were wrong, Dad. You look at what he does. He's RB13. A lot of people are looking as if he's RB40 right now, or that he's like completely disappeared. I think we see the talent bounce back. I know we're not getting an offensive coordinator change, but Aaron Rodgers is going to play like a man possessed against Buffalo to prove that it was Robert Saleh and it wasn't him. So talk real quickly about the trade. And then, I think Breece Hall is someone that I'm just trying to buy everywhere down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely. I love buying Breece Hall right now. Like you said, I mean, he's a guy that he's going to be a workhorse. He was an RB1 in the first 3 weeks. He's a touchdown machine when they have a decent matchup. I think he's just going to continue to be a bell cow. He's going to have, when they get those easy matchups, he's going to blow up, man. Like he has like that 40+ point week. He's a guy that hits those big home run breakaway runs. Buy low now because in a few weeks, he's going to get Seattle, the Pats twice. He's going to get some of these. I mean, he already just demolished the Pats, but he's going to get some of these matchups that were like, yeah, like this is what I'm talking about.
And I posted this on Twitter. I got 50-some trades. I want to come over a couple more with you. Dr. CG, that's Caesar IGF on Twitter. A-Chain in a second or Breece Hall?
Breece Hall.
Smash. Here's one that I really like. This is a redraft one sent in from Ryan. Nico and Breece or Pollard, Garrett, and Bijan?
Ooh.
I said Bijan with the Nico injury, unless you're 4-1 and 5-0, because it's really tough to do. Brees Hall. I mean, here's one. Best scout in the game on Twitter in redraft gave up Pollard and Shakir for Brees Hall. This shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, people are asking me, here's one that Mason straight up for Brees Hall. You know, we're talking about, someone asked me in redraft, Kamara or Brees Hall. Now that one gets a little bit more interesting. You're the Kamara guy.
In redraft, I'm taking Kamara.
Okay, I'm not. I'm still going Brees Hall, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Next one we have from David Hoffman. He said, in Dynasty, I have Gibbs and Singletary. My wide receiver room is stacked with Neighbors, Wilson, Dell, Smith, Pickens. Should I look for a running back, and who should I go for? It's a good question.
Cheap guys, cheap options. Rico Dowdle, Austin Eckler. More pricier guys. James Conner's a good target right now. Joe Mixon's a good target with the injury. You could probably trade Pickens for Mixon plus, Pickens for Connor type deal. I'm not selling Tank Dell until he blows up within the next 3 to 4 weeks. I'm probably waiting to sell Tank Dell until within a week or two because I think he's going to have some big games. Pickens, I would be looking to sell now because I just don't know if that's going to work with Arthur Smith and that terrible offensive scheme and that just terrible offense in general. It was looking promising. Fields looks fine. I thought it was going to be fine. I thought he was a QB upgrade for him this year, or Russ, whoever it was going to be. I mean, Tomlin's a great coach, but that team is keep the game low scoring, run the ball, win with field goals and defense, and that's how they play. And there's just not going to be. Pickens is a great player, could be nasty on another team, but it's just not working out for him right now. He's more of a dynasty play than a redraft.
Love it. Hey, what is your next big buy? So my big buy is Brees Hall. Let's start at the top. Who's someone big right now that you're like, you know what? This guy's too cheap in Dynasty. You need to go out and grab him.
Big buy, A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown's going to be a top 5 wide receiver rest of the season. With Kellen Moore there, I mean, he had 22 points in that first game against the Packers. Great defense, good corner, good secondaries, one of the best in the league. And on a terrible field in a different country, and he put up 20-plus points. I think A.J. Brown's a guy that can win you your league. He can put up 40-plus points, win you your week any given time. I love buying A.J. Brown right now, and I think he's going to come back and show everybody why he's a top 5, top 10 wide receiver, so I'm excited for him.
I love that one. Carlos says, hey, guys, should I accept this? Roma Dunze, Jonathan Brooks in a third.
Rashee Rice smash.
Rashee Rice, yes. We didn't even get to it. Or Rashee Rice, mid-25 first. I'd be getting the Rashee side. Smash that. I do think Rome is a decent buy. I think, this week I'm all in on whoever I can get that's playing the Jaguars. Jaguars pass defense is an absolute sieve. You got DJ Moore is a big buy of mine. That's right now. I have him as a smash play. He's my wide receiver 6 for the week. If you look at what teams have done against the Jaguars, it's ridiculous. 37.87 fantasy points per game. That's the most. 16 receptions per game. That's the most. 210 yards per game. That's the second most. Start DJ Moore. Flex Roma Dunze. Flex Keenan Allen. Fire up Caleb Williams because this is Caleb Williams' third 300-yard game in the last. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, third in his last 4 games. I'm in.
Absolute stud.
I love this. He put smashing
right now. There we
go. Snoog. DJ Moore was my second one. I am trying to make moves where I have the 107, 108 kind of range for DJ Moore. I'm trying to add a second from Pittman. I feel like we have to say that every show where we're just trying to tear up from Pittman. It's necessary. It's kind of like the mandatory Kamara and Mixon talk. We're tearing up off of Pittman. I'm tearing up off of Tank Dell. I'm tearing up off of Jackson Smith and Jigba. I want DJ Moore everywhere I can. He is a phenomenal talent, and I think we're really starting to see what he could be. Like he was great with Fields. Now he has an even better quarterback, and they're starting to click. I think DJ Moore's going to skyrocket.
I love him as a good buy low, and he's got Jacksonville this week. He should put up another big game. I think 15 to 20 is a realistic outing for him. I think him and Roman Dunze are going to be a great combo down the stretch. As soon as they find a real offensive coordinator and not some guy that literally pulls up Madden coaching suggestions for what plays to call.
And he was over 100 last week with 2 touchdowns. So we're going here in the same way. we did him wrong before. My buddy, John from work, he came out there and he had the Brees offer. Snoog, we need to help him out now. Redraft. Is Kareem Hunt and Olave worth getting Bijan Robinson?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kareem
Bijan all
Hunt.
day.
People are starting to really come up there. I'm making every offer I can for Bijan Robinson right now. He is a buy low. You know who's another buy low right now, Snoog? Who I'm kind of, this is, we hit up at the top. Chase Brown right now. And what are we doing right now? Like Chase Brown, 2 straight games as an RB1, 3 touchdowns, 4.7 yards per carry. Zach Moss is banged up, and he's 24 years old. In the offseason, I was starting to tout him a little bit. Moss has been impressive, but this is an interesting one to take. I mean, if you're in Dynasty, I think I would trade him for a mid-second, but I think I would use him right now to tier up. I think you can use him in an area where you can tier up to a running back that is much more, prominent, a guy that's going to put up more points.
Jones, yeah.
Yep. Or add a little bit to Joe Mixon, but I think he's if you have him, now's the time to break him out. Now's the time to go out there, see what you can get for him, because there's going to be that RB ready. In the bye weeks, there's always that team that is RB needy, right? Where you can go ahead and say, you know what, I'm just going to give you that mini tier up, right? Where you're going to go from, T. Higgins to DJ Moore. You're going to go from Deebo Samuels to DJ Moore. You're going to just make that small move that's could potentially put you into the next spot. Who else are you buying, Stu?
A guy that I love that I've actually been buying like crazy, and he's not really a buy low at this point, but he's just a buy in general because I think the age it can help you get him cheaper. It's Stephon Diggs.
Yes.
And this is a guy averaging over 18 plus points per game through the first 5 weeks with Nico Collins there. Now with Nico gone and with CJ Stroud, who's a top 3 NFL quarterback right now, top 5 NFL quarterback, I'll say. But he's up there and he's 23 years old. Diggs is going to have an absolute blow up next 4 games. And I think that there's a chance that he is a top 5 wide receiver while Nico Collins is out. And with Nico Collins back, he's a top 10 to 15 wide receiver. So I think that it's a win-win regardless. So if you do have to pay a little bit more than you would have before, I'm fine doing that, especially if you're on one of those 3-2 teams or 2-3 teams that needs that boost. He's a great buy right now, and you could probably get him, trade away probably your late first for Diggs in a second, or you could probably give up second and a Chase Brown plus, or a second and a Wicks, or a second and a guy like that, or one of those rookies like a Keon Coleman in a second, like a trade like that. I would love to do to go get a Stephon Diggs if you can.
I think in Dynasty, and I love those takes. I mean, I think Diggs is going to be worth a first-round pick very soon. I think he's still an early second, but I think he's 1 or 2 games away from being able to be sold for a first. And no, I'm not going to sell him to you in Smash Except 9. All right, I'm keeping Stephon Diggs. I'm rolling him out there. Speaking of Diggs, I'm going to give you that side eye like Stephon Diggs did to Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are giving you buy windows. Like I traded Justin Herbert a late first and Dontavian Wicks for Mahomes yesterday, and I think that's a smash accept. I'm seeing people trading. I'm seeing people getting Josh Allen plus for Jaden Daniels. I'm seeing people trade, just Joe Burrow and a late first for Josh Allen. I think we forget weeks 1 through 3, he was QB1 with 24 fantasy points per game. The last 3 years, he's QB1 over that time. So we're going to just say because Jaden Daniels had a couple nice flashy games that we're going to move him over Josh Allen. Just shut up. Just shut up. Like, just stop. That is not the smash.
Best fantasy QB ever.
And we're going to just – and it took 2 years of him balling out like this for people to consider him the QB1 overall. Mahomes. It took Jaden Daniels 5 weeks. So like I love Jaden Daniels, but Josh Allen is the truth. Josh Allen is going to be fine. In week 5, he just missed a Shakir touchdown. The wide receiver core is abysmal. Like they are not using Keon Coleman in the way that they should. Khalil Shakir is not being, utilized. Dalton Kincaid, the game plan's trash. Like the Buffalo needs a change as well. This is going to be a big game against the Jets. He always plays well against them. I think I'm buying on Josh Allen. I'm buying on Jalen Hurts, and I'm buying on Patrick Mahomes because right now everybody's acting like those guys are washed. But seriously, you're getting a buy low opportunity. I think Jalen's going to be a top 5 quarterback rest of the way. Right now, my rest of the season rankings, I'm curious to hear yours. I got Lamar 1, I got Jaden 2, Josh 3, Jalen 4. All right, yeah, Jalen 4. You know what I mean? And I think Stroud's in that top 5 to 8. I think Burrow's up there. I think Jordan Love's in there.
Kyler,
you know, and Kyler.
Those 4 are
and those are the guys that I want to have, and I know that's who we've been investing in. But I'm all in, man. Just stop with the Josh Allen hate. Just stop it.
No. Yeah, I mean, I don't even got to say anything on that. That shouldn't even be a subject. It makes me angry.
I had to say it. I had to because I'm seeing it on Twitter, and it's not like you're seeing polls and you're seeing Keep Trade Cut putting them up there. And I honestly looked on Dynasty Trade Calculator, and they did it as well. Like all your major, trade calculators now have Jaden Daniels worth more. If you can sell Jaden Daniels for Josh Allen plus, Josh Allen never gets hurt. Do it. Let him get a whiff of that new car smell. Come on, do it. All right, who's your next big buy here, brother?
Dare I say George Kittle? Nah,
you should say George Kittle. No, that's
I'm
interested to hear.
Too good.
You were talking about Rico Dowdle, so I want to hear about it because would you pay a late second for Rico right now?
I don't think you have to. I think you can get him for like.
I'm seeing a 26-2. I don't think you're getting him for those threes right now.
I want to pay. I don't pay that. I won't pay that because he's going to be replaced next year by a Judkins type running back.
Oh, 100. Yeah, he's done. So I mean, he's a filler. So if you're doing a filler,
Austin
I mean,
Eckler instead, Austin Eckler is who I'm buying. I think he's been better. Dare I say better than Brian Robinson as just a runner and a player right now. He's just not getting the touchdowns. He has been better efficiency-wise. He's been catching the ball better and more. He's a better receiving back. He's been better in space. He's just not getting the touchdowns. And that probably won't happen. I don't know if he's going to... He's a great red zone running back. I don't know. You know Cliff Kingsbury and those big... mediocre 2-down grinders that he loves. It's just Brian Robinson just banging between the tackles for touchdowns on the goal line. But they're a great 1-2 punch on an offense that's scoring a lot and getting there a lot with Jaden Daniels. I'd love to see them use Austin more like they have been, but I think he's a great buy, especially in Dynasty when you can get him for really, really cheap. And if Brian Robinson ever were to get injured, Austin would be an RB1. Like that simple. And without that, he's a strong flex. He's a strong flex with a ton of upside, or he's a good RB to plug in on a bye week, or if you have an injury and you need someone, he's gonna get you 10+ points every week. He's gonna get 3 to 4 to 5 catches, and he's gonna get 5 to 10 carries. So it's just an easy play for him. He's being used like he was back in his old Chargers days, which is good, keeping him fresh, keeping him explosive. So I'm excited for that. And I'm excited to see him carve out that role more now that he's healthy.
Yeah, Terry Williams is asking, would you trade a random 25 first for Rome Odunze? I'm smashing it. If it's random. If it's late, I'm smashing it. If it's mid, it's not bad. If it's early, you lose. And that's the only chance. I mean, I think Rome Odunze in this class upcoming would be the 105, 106. And I think, until we see a little bit more, I think that's where he was last year. And I think he's going to be fantastic. You and I have gone full circle. We've gone from the offense I hate in Chicago, but Caleb's starting to put it together. And if Caleb's throwing for 300 yards, Rome's going to be viable. You know what I mean? And I think Caleb, we're starting to really see just what this prime Caleb could be. You know what I mean? And exactly. I think we're in a good spot. The guy that I'm buying, you were just talking about Rico and Austin Eckler, and it's hard not to buy Chuba Hubbard for nothing right now.
Exactly. That was my next guy. That's funny.
I've gotten Chuba Hubbard in a third for seconds right now. And he's the, RB12 right now? Like he's a top 12 running back. And everybody thinks Jonathan Brooks is, we've been saying this 3 shows in a row. Stop, people. Stop saying Jonathan Brooks is a fantastic running back, but he is not going to come in on a team that is 1-4 or 0-5. Are they 0-5? Did they win a game? I think they won 1. They're 1-4. Yeah. So they're not going to just say, you know what? Fresh off that ACL, here's 25 carries. We don't need Chuba anymore. Chuba's a grinder. He's nothing special, but he's going to put up points. And if they are 2-9, 2-10. What's the point of beating up Jonathan Brooks? They're going to rely more on Chuba. Chuba is a guy that has put up fantastic numbers. We were buying him in the offseason. I'm still buying him. Why not? Like if you're going to go cheap, get Chuba Hubbard. Get these guys that under a second. A lot of people right now are asking me in the Discord, should they buy DeAndre Swift or J.K. Dobbins? Those are guys that I think are in that area. Gendy's, again, jumping in here. Love the logo. I was buying JMO in every league for the past 2 years. Now I can't get myself to sell. What would you need to sell JMO right now? JMO's been impressive. I have him worth the 202 right now. I think that's fair.
I'd target 2026 first.
Ooh, that's way out there, but I'm not against it.
Skip 2026, go right to 2027. That's going to be a generational class.
That wide receiver class. Tell everybody if you didn't see these two 17-year-olds, these two 17-year-olds going
Arch
nuts.
Manning, potentially. That's going to be a ridiculous quarterback class. Arch could be 2026, but I'm hearing he's going to stay till his 4th year potentially. So if he does, it's going to be Raiola and Arch, and then it's going to be Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. Two guys that would be wide receiver 1 in 2025, 2026, and they would have been, dare I say, Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams are like those Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors type prospects, and they're gonna be. They're gonna be. They could be better. One of them could be better than them. I think Jeremiah Smith probably ends up being better than them. Maybe. But
dude, I love this question.
Stupid good.
L Train 23, who would you be targeting for a budget running back 2? Snoop, this is our bread and butter, baby. I have Jonathan Taylor, Jacobs, but besides that, not much. Who is it going to be? Yep. And since I asked you the question, since I asked the question, he threw it up there. He's like, he's going to say Joe Mixon. But I mean, just looking at it, if you are a team right now that needs to win, I've been putting out. I got Chuba right now this week. He's my RB14. I
think I have him 17, 16 maybe.
But I mean, I think some guys.
Swift is interesting.
Yeah, he's my RB16 for the week.
Catching passes like they could have used him all along.
The guys this week David Montgomery's number 1. If you get David Montgomery, you do it. Number 2, Joe Mixon. James Conner's number 3. But then if you don't get them, I'm looking at Hubbard, Pollard, Swift, Dobbins, Harris, and Brian Robinson. They're all worth a second.
I honestly don't even want to touch Najee Harris.
Yeah, he's not as sexy. You know what I mean? But
he doesn't even score points, and he gets the ball 25 times a game.
If you're not all in, like the all in guys, or where you're talking about your Kamaras and your Mixons,
speaking of buys,
Bigsby, those kind of guys, hit it up.
I was just offered this trade. I want to hear what you say, and I want to hear what some of the people on this live stream say in the comments. I have Justin Fields. He's my QB3 behind Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. I have Rashid Shaheed, who is literally like my 8th wideout. Like he was just a guy I hit on. I have like team stacked. Garrett, Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Amari, Stephon Diggs. Would you trade? I think this is the biggest smash ever just for the lottery ticket that you're investing in. I'm getting Anthony Richardson, and I'm giving up Fields and Rashid Shaheed.
Jeez, that's a smash. That's not. I mean,
I just opened Richardson. My phone to this, and the guy was like, "I'm just done with this guy. I need to win. I think Fields is good long term. Shaheed's been solid. I think Anthony Richardson absolutely sucks."
That's just a recency bias. The way the guy has played. I'm buying Anthony Richardson there. Why not? Really if you already have two,
fun buy.
You don't want Anthony Richardson being your QB1. You don't necessarily want him to be in your 2 unless you have Flacco as your QB3. He's honestly could be. It could skyrocket right back to where he was again. He comes out, Snoog. If he played week 2 and had a similar type performance where he put up 30 again, people would be putting him as a top 5 quarterback again. So yeah, I'm smashing that one. Here's one from Brady Welburn: Herbert, Ladd, Chubb, and a late second, or Josh Allen. Please go smash the Josh Allen side so hard that it breaks your finger. Herbert right now, the Herbert and Ladd stack is not a thing. Nick Chubb, everyone acts like he's going to be the same thing as Jonathan Brooks, just come in. Someone today told me that they traded Nick Chubb in a second for Devon Achane. And I was like, what?
Gosh,
what? No, Sell Nick Chubb in that. This is missing 2 firsts yet,
That's
or at least one early first. Another one, Alex Matthews, Saquon, Walker, Chuba, and Dynasty. Is it worth upgrading Walker to Gibbs? The answer every single time someone asks, should they buy Jahmyr Gibbs? The answer in the Smash Accept Patreon is yes.
Smash.
And sometimes,
Fun.
hell yes. Go get him. Go do that. So in this particular situation, if it's Dynasty, I would trade a late first to get yourself from Walker to Gibbs. That gives you Bijan, Saquon, and Gibbs. Yo, that's beautiful. Is that the one from your girl? That is sexy. Snoog likes to just flash some of that swag.
Autograph. Look at that autograph.
It's
you
not
ever
bad.
asked me to buy Jahmyr Gibbs? Do it.
Hey, he's got that. I got this. It's Smash Accept T. Much classier. No, love what I saw from Jalen Coker. Got him a lot of taxi squads. I love that. Z loading cards. He's back in here. Mid to late first for Marvin Harrison Jr. Mid and a late. I'm doing it. I think rebuilding, you are putting yourself in a spot. If I could give up a late first plus Worthy or Dell, I would do it. He's a foundational asset. You go ahead and you get him. Here's one that I love.
I'm being greedy. If I'm a rebuilder, this is one thing I want to say for rebuilders.
Do you see what this says?
Always be greedy. Yes.
Wow. Connor Armhead said he's on the clock in a Dynasty startup. Mahomes or Hurts at 203? 203? We're getting insane. Mahomes in the second round now?
That's crazy.
I mean, the answer is Mahomes. I don't, is Mahomes going to put up top 10 numbers the rest of the year? Top 12?
Yeah.
But not top 10. But I mean,
he'll have some of those big weeks when him and Kelsey just cook and he throws a couple bombs to Worthy. Worthy should have had 2 deep touchdowns, but he got tackled.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Worthy got open both times downfield, and he got literally tackled before he could make a play.
Patrick Mahomes is now on Keep Trade cut number 11 overall.
Oh, wow.
And Jalen Hurts is number 16 overall behind Brock Bowers.
Yeah, what I was saying is always be super greedy as a rebuilder. Every third, any fourth you can get, hog picks, because you would be surprised how many thirds and fourths you can hit on. So like that Marvin Harrison Jr. trade, going back to that, he offers two firsts from Marv, get 2 thirds, get a third, add a third and get a second. Just like work the absolute magic out of everything as you can to get a trade like that done. The hours over those guys is honestly crazy. At
the 201, I mean, that's over the quarterbacks with the way the quarterback landscape is now. That blows my mind. Keep us posted on that one. Steven says 3 firsts in 25, all projected mid for Chase or Amon-Ra. Not for Amon-Ra and probably not for Chase, because let's be honest about this. Snoog, this was the same kind of offer we would have been talking about last year, and you ended up coming out with Drake May, Brian Thomas Jr., and Rome Odunze, or even better, Brock Bowers, Rome Odunze, and Brian Thomas Jr., because you said, it's just 3 randoms, right? That's way more than what Chase is going. You know what I mean? I think Amon-Ra, I would pay 2 right now in the Discord. I have it that only Jefferson and Lamb are worth over 3 firsts.
Yep.
I have 2.5 for Chase, Amon-Ra.
I think I'm taking Jamar Chase over CD Lamb now.
That's fine. That's fine. Jefferson's by himself. You know what I mean? Like Jefferson's up there. But he said they're all projected 104 to 107. I'm taking these picks.
Yeah.
And even if you take these picks and you keep 2 of them and you flip one of them for right now, the 104 to 107, like I was saying in the previous message where I was Brian Thomas Jr., DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, you can almost buy whoever you want for a mid first. Like you can. So take that deal, get yourself DJ Moore and 2 mid firsts, and then go out there and still smash. You know what I mean? So I love it. D. McGinnis 20. Should we be buying
the answer
Najee?
Is no.
No.
The answer is no, unless you can get him for like thirds.
And it's a sad thing, man. His rookie year, I loved him. He caught 90 passes. He just there.
Good too.
Snoog, you falling asleep on me, man. I
He
know we're
looked
doing
great that
we're
year.
doing a late night show, but you're falling asleep on me. Who's another guy that you got to be buying? I've been, DJing it, getting these guys up here, giving you some. What is a tight end that you're buying? Is there anybody other than Kittle and Bowers that you're like, I got to have this guy?
TJ Hawkinson, I think, is a great buy at tight end
Hawkinson and
position.
Ferguson. That's it for me.
Yeah, Hawkinson's a great buy. We touched on it on the last show. I just think he's gonna be that clear number 2 guy eventually behind J. Jeff. He's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a safety blanket for Darnold and McCarthy, and he's super
And Tucker
young.
Kraft.
Yep, but a guy, dare I say, if they make a QB change, someone that loves to throw the football to his best player. Amari Cooper's averaging 9.5 targets per game right now, with like less than 10 points per game. I think there's a chance we see Jameis Winston sooner than later if Watson can't get his head out of his ass. If we do, Amari Cooper is going to have extremely high upside, and he's
I'm buying
so
Cooper.
cheap.
He could go to the Chiefs still.
You could honestly get him for a pair of thirds.
In real life, they're talking about trading him for a third, and Kansas City's been trying to make some moves. They're not going to get Devontae Adams because why would the Raiders trade him in division?
Buy high on Brian Thomas Jr. Just buy high on him.
100%. Yeah. Here's a question, sticking with the same team, because everybody keeps talking about Bigsby and ETN. I had a couple guys in the Discord. One guy said, hey, I sold ETN for 2 early seconds. And I said, I'm fine with that. I had another guy say, hey, I bought ETN for 2 late seconds. Bigsby. I had people messaging me saying that I bought Bigsby for Alexander Madison in the third. I bought Bigsby for Trey Sermon in the third. I bought Bigsby for Rachaad White. Let's talk real quick about that situation. Let's talk about Bucky versus Rachaad White too, because I'm seeing Rachaad White value dip below a second right now. I would still pay a late second because I think all of these players, right? They're similar, right? Bigsby and ETN are going to put up similar points. Bucky and White are going to put up similar points. All of them are flex plays every single week with RB2 upside. But if there's an injury, they're RB2s with RB1 upside. So I think that's actually not a bad thing to buy Bucky Irving, Bigsby and White for late seconds and ETN for early seconds.
Yeah, I think ETN's definitely still the guy there in Jacksonville. I think he's just a far better player in general than Tank Bigsby. It's that simple. I don't care how good Bigsby's playing, how good he looks. He might be a better fit for that Jacksonville offense because that run scheme is just horrific. I think Bigsby's a better fit there, but ETN's a far more dynamic player. He's getting all the receiving work. He's battling this shoulder injury. They're saying that's why Bigsby's been playing, and it's like I don't know what to believe anymore, but buy low on Travis Etienne and see what happens. I mean, we saw his close to his ceiling last year. He was a top 3 running back. He was RB1 for 10 plus weeks. That's not accidental. That offensive line sucked last year. It wasn't accidental or by coincidence that Travis Etienne was just this workhorse elite running back, and now all of a sudden he can't get it going. He's battling injuries. Something's not right here in Jacksonville. And I feel like we have the chance to really get a steal on a guy like that, especially if they can figure it out down the stretch and he can get healthy. Even if Tank is a guy Tank's a good player, he's playing great, playing outstanding. There's a great chance that he is going to be like a 30 to 40% snap type guy. He's going to get 10, 12 carries on the ground, probably no receiving work, touchdown or bust player, but ETN's going to be a guy that's going to be used 3, 4, 5 targets a game, and he's going to get a lot of that red zone looks like he did earlier in the year because he scored like 3 touchdowns in his first 3 games. He was getting all the red zone work. I think like this type
that's
of
your boy.
Smash Travis Etienne right there. I just think even if it doesn't work out in Jacksonville this year, he leaves, goes and gets a big contract somewhere else, Minnesota, Dallas, one of those teams, and he's going to be absolutely phenomenal on one of those teams.
The trade he's super hot made got ETN for Deontay Johnson and Tyrone Tracy. Snoop, we got to make sure we're going out there and we're doing our due diligence when things change. Derek Carr's hurt. All right. I seen the meme where it was like picture of Derek Carr. It says, throw the ball to Chris Olave or go work at Publix. And there was a picture of him in his Publix work outfit because the dude won't throw to Chris Olave. You know who will? You know who did all training camp when he got a chance to start?
Spencer
Rattler. Chris Olave is kind of a sneaky buy right now because I'm seeing people like, honestly, I saw someone trade Chris Olave for Godwin in a second because they're like, Godwin's putting up more points. And I like Godwin, but Chris Olave just needs someone to throw him the damn ball.
Yeah, that, and I think Rattler, I think he's going to force feed his best players, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. We saw Derek Carr forcing the ball downfield a lot and just taking so many deep shots, less checkdowns. Yeah. I think Spencer Rattler is going to be just trying to make the right decision, and he's going to be very skittish at first. And I think there's a chance we just see Kamara get a ridiculous amount of receiving volume, and I think he's going to just force feed Chris Olave. So I think that Clint Kubiak's a good enough offensive coordinator that they can win games without their starter, and that he can scheme things open for both of those players, Kamara and Chris Olave, in the passing game. I think Rashid Shaheed takes a hit big time.
I do too. So that's my next point is we're going to play a game of mid-second player or the pick. Everybody's asking me what wide receivers can I buy for a second. So we're just going to call it random second. Okay. Raheed Shaheed.
I take Shaheed over a random second.
Josh Downs.
I take the second.
Wan'Dale Robinson.
I'm just these are all guys that are just like.
That's why I'm asking.
They'll probably never really be anything other than just like a wide receiver 3 or flex. So I think the second's just a re-roll.
Yeah.
If Christian I need Kirk. One of those guys at flex or depth, I'll take Kirk over the second. If I need one of those guys at flex or depth, I'd probably roll with them if I had to pay it. But
next one, and I really this is someone that everybody's really been asking about, is Darnell Mooney. Are you playing a late second for Darnell Mooney?
Yeah. He's mid-second. These guys for me. Yeah,
really.
He's overall these guys.
I have him higher in my weekly.
He's gonna put up 1,000 yards this year and probably score 6 to 8 touchdowns and be a top 24 to top 30 wide receiver.
I can see it.
Prediction.
Demario Douglas seems to get some buzz right now with Drake May starting. I mean, what do you see? Someone's going to – because they're going to actually throw for yards, right? Like Jacoby Brissett has just kept it so vanilla. I think Drake May is going to at least get a lot of slop time. Douglas is somebody that's, on the radar. He's my highest rated wide receiver for New England this particular week at wide receiver 40. I'm not super wild on him, but would you pay a second for Pop Douglas right now?
No. I'm not.
Is it close?
Yeah, I wouldn't see why not.
Yeah, it's a weird one. The other thing is, like, I wouldn't mind buying Jacoby Myers right now. I wouldn't mind buying Jerry Jeudy with the threat of both of their wide receiver ones potentially getting traded. Maybe a late second or
buying Adams. Adams is a good buy too.
Yep, absolutely. This has been a fun show. This has been a fun night. Like we went out there, we hit the live stream. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube page. Check out the Patreon for as little as $5 a month. You're getting us. We've been answering so many honestly questions. We're trying to make sure we get to them as quick as possible. Trying to come up with new ways to make sure we're efficient in there because it has been crazy. But we are hitting you guys up with the best content we can. So thanks for that support. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the process. Hey, yo.